Welcome to the Condor DM show. We are live, baby, live. We'll talk a bit about kits tonight. Kits in second edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. At least that. At least I want to talk about kits in my off script, unplanned stream. Right? Wasn't sure if I'd have time for this, but here I am, right? To feed the need. Here I am. Oh my. I scheduled this for 6, but I was able to start a little earlier, so here I am, like 30 minutes earlier. Ooh. We'll talk about kits tonight for second edition AD&D. At least I'll bring that up. I do want to talk about that a bit, that subject, because I feel like they're very good for the game. And right now, I have some what looks like players online, I hope, preparing characters. I've given them a deadline. They have to have the characters done by tomorrow night if they want me to count them, and I have to have enough of them for us to play Monday. If not, there could be a delay, right? If there's just not enough players ready to go. And I don't take red flag players at last minute. You can be the best, nicest people. I can get along with you, chat and everything else, but you got to show me that you're serious. And one of the ways you do that is at least 24 hours before the game, you have passed, especially that first session, you have passed a character in. Like, we get a character completed for you. Like, that has to happen. I don't, I sit there and work on these games. Like, I got this current campaign going on where I've worked on it, like, I'd say out of weeks, 14 hours. All right. I know what it takes to make a character in a game. So if I have to wait till like 10 minutes before a session for you to go, I'm finally done, and you've had like a week to get it done, all right, dude, no, I don't do that. To me, it's a sign of respect. And I know a lot of decent people out there that if I don't know, it's you have to understand the mentality of people you're gaming with, and it's some people could do really good, but if you set it up where it, how can I say, they need to know what they can get away with and what they can't. And even decent people could step over a line with you if you allow them to show you disrespect. Right? They might not even perceive it that way. Right? So they might not perceive it that way. And you gotta set a line, right? And I'm a hardworking game master when it comes to games. So players in real life know how I am, but some people on here don't. I can get along with a lot of people I won't game with. It's just true. And I got to set up a respect thing. I've worked 14 hours currently on the online potential campaign I could run. That's 14 hours of hard work, right? So I expect players to show me a decent level of respect. And at the very least, before that first session, you got to have a character completed 24 hours beforehand. And I give players usually a good amount of time, right? A good amount of time to get themselves ready. That's it. Don't hand me in a character at the last 10 minutes. Nope. No, you're not in. This is not an MMO. This is not a convenient video game. And you've given me a sign that I got to be able to trust you. And it's a red flag. So I got to see that you're committed beforehand. Just a bit. Right? You still might play code, but at least on the gamble, there's a better chance you're not going to play code. I don't like flaky players. Like, you showed up this week, but what if you're just casually don't feel like it's like, no, I'm not that. It's once a week. I want people that are the type of people that show up into the hobby and go, yeah, if I commit to a game, I'll commit to it. Well, good. That's good. That's a starting point, right? So it's not about hating on people. It's just I'm 46. I'm not 20. Like, that's why I don't like. I mean, I used to be like a lot of people when I was younger. I a little bit more patient with players, put up with certain things, but over decades you learn things. And I'm at 46 and I'm like, yeah, now I don't fuck around. If you show me like one or two red flags, that's it, you're gone. That's people hear this about me all the time, but it's like in real life they know I back it up. Like, absolutely. If I give you a warning, I'll give you a warning. You keep doing the thing, okay, you're gone. Like, I'll have a talk with you. I'll give you a warning. I'll be fair. I won't just initially kick people out. But it's like, you get your talk. You get your warning. And that's it. Like you keep going. We're not children here. I'm not your mother or father, and this is not therapy. Right? If I say don't do something and have a talk with you and you keep doing, like you say, oh, okay, cool, 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 and then you do it again, that's it. There won't be a third time. We don't got to go to a second warning. That's it, right? That's just how I am. I'm 46. I just don't want to waste time. Okay, gave you the warning. Oh, you're still fucking around. Goodbye. my my friends and family in life will tell you, don't misunderstand Steven. He'll kick us out too. Absolutely. And my personal friends know I'll make an example of them quicker than I will a stranger. So I just don't fuck around. I'm just not at that age no more to waste time on people. It's like, dude, for the fuck around time, I've already wasted a little bit of time on you as is. Like, that's too much already wasted, but fair enough, I'll take that shot. Because you got to gamble. You got to give people opportunities and you got to give warnings so they get a fair warning. I mean, I think that's pretty decent over the long run. Demanding some effort from players up front, getting a character done, that's a respect thing, right? That's all that is. And anyone who's offended by it are people that want to fuck around. So right away, if somebody's offended by that, like, oh, I don't care what you think. Absolutely don't care. Don't give a good goddamn. Goodbye. Sort of. But just I don't care. I just do not care. Somebody's offended by decent. The majority of people are mostly decent people in the hobby. So decent people will totally respect what you're saying. Yeah, have a character done 24 hours beforehand. Like, yeah, they get it. But if you're someone who screws around, don't care. You're gone. If somebody comes by and is offended by some expectation of courteousness from players, like they're offended by it, it's like, absolutely, I don't care what you think. Not even a tiny bit. Just don't even bother talking to me. You will not like my response. I will not. I have no respect for you. just go away. It's like, oh man, like you wanted 24 hours. Yeah, I want a character done 24 hours before the first session. Definitely. I don't take in characters at last minute. Never do. Never will. Ain't a thing. So it's like even like 2 hours out. Man, I finally get a character done. All right, well, dude, if we gotta sort that out, you'll be in next week. But you're playing tonight, right? Yeah, well, you've had days. And I worked on the campaign for 14 hours, so I know you could find time. Well, I didn't have to, you could find time. And if you couldn't find time to take 20 minutes to make a character, yeah, well, sucks to be you. I'll see you next week. It's not hard. But we'll talk about kits tonight. I want to talk a bit about kits in second edition because I think they're extremely valuable to old school D&D. Extremely. One of my favorite things from the splat books that came up for second edition, and I've always thought they've had an extreme value, and I think it was quite obvious that they would. Like, there's already elements of what you would call kits in the classes already, right? So to me, kits are like a sort of a concept where I look at it like if you didn't want to fill the player's handbook with like 20 to 30 classes. You would just make an extra book with the additional information, right? So it'd be like a ranger. So there's like kits are really like just detailed versions of a character class, like a ranger. A ranger is just a fighter with a kit. That's all a ranger is. A fighter with a kit. You would say the same thing with paladin. Paladin is sort of pretty much like a fighter with a kit. Something in that vein. That's all kits are an extension of the core class. So they're pretty good though. They're pretty good. And I don't want to talk too much about it right now. We'll save for a bit of time here. And then we'll get into why I think they're valuable and we'll talk about them. I got a bunch of kits open and ready to talk about, and we'll go over what kits they have for second edition, which will be a little fun. Also, I'm a little strict, and when players like, Well, screw him. I'll just, I won't bother showing up tonight, or I won't do this. I'm like, all right, dude, I'm okay. And if all players got mad at me, I wouldn't care. I'll go watch grass grow. You miss out on the gaming session. I'm a good game master. You'd enjoy yourself. It's like if to me, if the demand, if a courteous demand of a little respect from players offends people, that's players being too spoiled in the hobby. Because you just have to imagine, like you have to say to yourself, well, how much work does it take to set up anything? I mean, any type of game as a game master. The second you realize that, and you're showing up like 10 minutes before the game, like, man, I've had days or maybe even weeks in some cases, but I'm showing up 10 minutes beforehand with the character just getting done now. It's like, dude, 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 if I let you get away with this, you'll think you can get away with more. I can't do that. I gotta set a standard now. And you got to know, no matter how good of a person you are, what you can and can't get away with a game master. And a lot of game masters out there do not set standards with players, and that's why I don't run into as much trouble as some of the other game masters I've encountered in life. I'm like, man, I'll hear a horror story from a game master about how a player had crossed a line or done something. And I'll be like, well, I really don't have those stories. And they'll ask me, what's the difference? And I'm like, dude, I set a standard. And so I've had players that will come into my game, and I only hear about what they've done in other games afterwards. They come into my game, and their attitude is completely fine. They know I won't put up with shit. They know I'm strict. I have a bigger standard, and they just play to it. They simply go with it. I'll talk to another game master about DMing that guy or game mastering that guy. And he'll be like, well, yeah, he was disrespectful to me, another player, this and that. And I've encountered that so many times over the years where I'm game mastering someone or finished game mastering someone. They were fine for me, only to find out either later or beforehand they mistreated people, crossed lines, were disrespectful. And so I looked at the situation in many cases, and it always feel like they would let the player step over a line, and that person would keep stepping over the line. But when that person encountered me, they knew right away, all right, Steven's not going to put up with that. Higher standard meant they adjusted to me right away. And they knew what they screwed around, they're gone. And that means I got a full campaign out of them where they played well, no disrespect to me, no disrespect to other players, were really fine, actually got along and had a good time. Yet in the game where they could cross the line, they did. That game master allowed him to be a little half-ass coming in. If he spoke up in a certain way, that game master wouldn't use any authority to say, no, not behavior. No. That game master would let that person step in the line. So they did. And they kept doing it. That same player comes into my game. Nope. You can't bring it last minute. No, I won't accept the character. If they start speaking, I don't want. I'll give you a warning. Like, you get your warning, dude. Do it again, you're gone. And the player would know right away, okay. And adjust to me right away. And then I start realizing over the years that this is one of the main reasons I do not have a lot of horror stories. Like, I'll hear guys talking on panels and they'll tell me, and I'll hear them like 2 or 3 game masters, and they're all talking like they've had similar experiences with bad players. And it sounds almost alien to me. I realize why. They're all the type of people that bow their head to disrespect, right? Or to taking a decent person, because we're all human. If somebody thinks they can cross a certain line, or if you allow them to get to a certain line, some people just will. They won't even realize what they're doing is offensive, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. And so these guys will all have similar horror stories. And I'll be like, dude, I don't go through that with players at all. Players know right away. It's like, oh, yeah, you fuck around Steven's game, he's going to boot you up. Just won't matter. Go ahead, test the water. Now, people in real life like that know me personally. They know. They know I'm strict when it comes to certain things. I'm not an asshole in some general sense, but I will be if you are an asshole to me. Right? So it's just, that's it. Test the water with me, you're gone. It's like, go ahead, test it. I've given you warnings. Well, let me see. Nope. Cut it off right there. Try it again. Try it again 10 minutes and you'll be gone. Try it again in 3 sessions. What about 20 in? You'll be gone then too. Gone. Instantly gone. People don't take it serious until you do it, but that's how I've earned a good reputation, is people know I really will. I really will boot people off my table. No issue at all. It's not out of joy. It's just out of, if you don't set a standard, especially in a community where other players will, outside of your game, will know how you are. If you don't set a standard, people will, even if they're sometimes decent people, will walk on you. And not even like in a where they mean to do it. So you got to set a standard. And we're just playing a game here. I can be your friend at one point, but maybe I'm running you as a stranger. Maybe I'm meeting you as a stranger running a game for you. Either way, I expect people to be mature enough to show up and act right. And it's like, okay, I realize just expecting it is not good enough. It's some people aren't going to act right if you just allow certain things to go. So I'm just like, okay, well then, if you don't want to act right, you can just go away. But at the very least, I don't freak out or just kick people out of the game instantly. But I will get pushing. If you push back, you're gone. If I say do this, well, I don't agree with you. Well, you see your stuff there? Yeah, you're off the table. Because if you tell me right away you want to adjust, there's no more warnings. You're gone instantly. Well, I don't agree with you. I'm not adjusting. Well, now you'll adjust off the fucking table. Now you're out of the game. I'm kicking you out. So there, you can say what you want, but I'm the authority here. I'm not. This is not a debate. We're not having a conversation. I just told you how it is. So when I say act this way, no, I don't agree with you. Well, you cannot agree with me off my fucking table. There you go. Now you don't get a game. Now you lost a good game master, possibly a good group. I see you. Go piss off somebody else. Go ruin their campaign. Go ruin your gaming elsewhere, because that's what's going to happen. And just, you're not going to do it here. I'm not going to screw my own experience for the sake of me sitting there hours working on a game, showing up to game mastering it, doing 90% of the real work for us to have a gaming session, just so your experiences, oh, it's good, but fuck the game master. Be like, no, sorry, dude. My experience is equal. And I've earned my right to demand that, so I expect it. That's it. So I don't mind. It's just how it has to be. And I hate needing to be that way. Usually it's like, that's usually an upfront thing, I'll be honest with you guys. Like, conflict with players like that is usually an early on thing. And once you get rid of the conflict, you just got to remember, every time you go to start a game, like, I'm old school. So when I start a game, it could be a year long. Like, it could be more, right? I know the potential length of the game that's going to happen. And I'm not going to put up with crap over a year long. That's not going to happen. Not a chance. But what I guarantee other players that are in the game that are decent is, once I deal with a problem, an issue player, either they adjust, and that will be good for everybody in the long run, or they're at least gone and their bad behavior goes with them. And then we go on to have months of great gaming, right? That's always been my thing. I have to point that out to people. But I'll be authority figure. And when people don't want to act right, like, there's no, you're going to have a clash. There's no way to be nice at a certain level. You got to be straightforward and just on point. Now, if people react well to what you're saying, fine. If I say to a player, that's unacceptable, you can't keep doing that, and they're like, oh, sorry, dude. And that's it. They stop. Good players that don't bring in such issues, great. We get along. They don't even know. I've had many groups over the years. The majority of my groups are people that act right. So when I say the majority of players are pretty good, that's usually the case. And they'll go on to game with me, and they'll meet like a player, like, it could be like a year down the line. They meet a player who's played in another game where it's like, so did Steven have to be strict with you guys? Did he have to, like, be brutally aggressive? And they're like, no, he's really nice. And I'm like, yeah, these guys have all been fine. So that player will just realize they have not encountered that side. So they all think I'm just some really sweet guy who runs games for them. And that's the experience I'm going to give players that are going to act right. Like, they don't even have to see the conflict, right? So But it's just like I tell players that are crossing lines, like you'll if you want to come in here and be a wolf, you'll meet one, right? Just how it has to be. You, the hobby has to be for everyone and not just for a few individuals and not just for players. So for us to get along, there's a meet in the middle thing. And whenever I meet players that don't want to meet in the middle, I'm straight forward with them. I do not screw around. Right. Obviously, this behavior. If I'm getting mad at behavior, it's not to get you to kiss my ass. It's just that it's a selfish behavior. It'll be something where you're crossing a line others aren't, or it's disrespectful, or it's something like that. Either way, it's not good. It's not acceptable. Right. And I'm not going to cater to you. The rest of the group is not going to cater to you. And if you think that's going to happen, you're going to be off my table instantly. Instantly. I'll have no problem getting rid of you. Like I feel I'm not bothered. I don't feel lost when I meet players that act a certain way. I'm just like, well, it sucks that he's gone. I'm like, no, it's not. And I hope for the sake of the next game master that gets that player, the guy either straightens out his act because of what he just went through, or it's gonna suck. It's gonna suck for them, but not for us. But yeah, tonight we'll talk a bit about second edition kits. Not instantly. I'll give people a bit of time. It's only like 20 minutes into the stream, right? So there. I've talked about dealing with aggressive, bad behaving players before. Just has to be that way. Some players, no matter what warning you give them either, it will mean nothing. People will test water with you. They can hear me say as much here online. I've had it in the past where people try and they're instantly they're gone. Oh yeah. Well, kits, if you really think about it, Black Rose, it's just like if you don't want to fill the game with like 30 classes, just call them kits. Right? Because think about it, a ranger. The way I put it is a ranger is just a fighter with a kit. When you really think about it, so when you really think about it, kits are just they take the fighter class and create it. I guess if you want to count ranger as its own class, these are all classes, right? These are all just extended classes for second edition. But they do a pretty good thing that I find the core doesn't do. Like it's a lot easier for players in many ways to play a ranger than it is for some players to play a fighter. And there's a reason for that. We'll get into it soon. But there's a reason for that. Players will usually have an easier time playing a ranger than playing a fighter. Now, good players that just can take the initiative and have an idea of who their character is, what they want to do, that's a different story. So I'm not counting players that take the initiative on their own, right? But when you get the players that really are going to follow ideas, are going to need inspiration, they're not the type that just take initiative with not much to follow, right? Like if it's too generalized, too vague, they're going to be like, I don't really know what to do. I'm a fighter, I can swing a sword, right? Those players sometimes need some direction. Rangers give better direction as a ranger class than say playing just a pure fighter. And this can happen with a lot of classes, the base classes. And the base classes are purposely I made that way. They're made to be very generic in a way because they're made for initially when you go back to AD&D, very simplistic gameplay. That when the experiment starts with AD&D, the designers don't know. You're going to think they don't know what's going to be in the future, and it's not they don't care about the future stuff, but it's like just they don't know. They don't know that character development is going to be good, but they start realizing it right away. They have no idea that goals are going to be good for a player with their character. Like outside of just play in the dungeon, have your basic gameplay. They don't know these things during the start of the experiment. But they're going to learn later, and even Gary himself is going to appreciate all these extended elements. Uh, but I never look at OD&D as like the established D&D game, because you got to think of OD&D as like the established experiment. It's like a start of an experiment, right? You don't establish it as this is Dungeons and Dragons, because even to Gary and his team, in many ways, it's not. Well, kits give you what I like about kits is they're already pre-made for you. So if you're somebody who doesn't take the initiative on ideas, if I just said, "All right, what do you want your character to be?" You'd be like, "There's a lot of players out there that'd be like." So kits are something done by somebody else to help that person get over a hump, right? I mean, you just got to remember there's a small percentage of players that are really going to take an overkill initiative. Now, some players will just play very basic characters and follow other players. So you're not always going to notice this as a DM that some players are not so involved in taking the initiative. They'll follow good players. That's why sometimes good players are going to be the type that a lot of players will have them carry them in many parts of the game that you're not even thinking about. And they might be good getting into the dungeon, doing combat or something like that, but it's like the rest of the game is just they're going to hold on to the coattails of other players that are taking more of the initiative. Like, yeah, I'll go with him. Yeah, I'll go here and do this. It's like at one point, if you just stop and listen to that player, what do you want to do with your character? They'd be like, I'll just follow him around and go to the dungeon. You know what I mean? Like it's ideas or goals are just not there. And sometimes that it doesn't destroy you for doing certain elements of the game, but it does take away from participation sometimes. Because a lot of times when you don't get certain things, players will not participate in certain ways. They'll even get so used to it that they don't want the pressure to do something that they feel they can't do, and then they'll just think that participating in that part of the game is boring anyways. That's their experience. And that happens to a lot of players over time, that if they don't have certain elements and they don't try things or get used to things, they can start thinking that thing is no good. It's like there's a lot of players out there that we know like hack and slash more than social interaction. At least initially, that's what they think. I bet many players that come into my game thinking they just don't like, they've had enough game experience, they think they just don't like that part of the game. And then every chance I get, I won't just force it on them, but every chance they'll go around NPCs where I can have an NPC talk to that more quiet player character, I'll do so. And I'll keep giving him reasons to keep responding. Like it's like you're going to get asked a question, you're going to do. And at one point, the player has been in social interactions so often with NPCs, they just start talking normal. And actually, they go from okay at first, it's a little bit like boom, and they start talking normal, and then they get to the point where they can't shut up. Then you can put them in front of an NPC, and they're going to say whatever they think. And now they're enjoying it. Where beforehand, before you get them to the stage, if you asked them after they played like 2 campaigns with another DM, yeah, I'm not really into it. That's what they'll say to you. This will be their opinion going forward. It's until they get into my game. And then after so many months, that same player who was in 2 campaigns before mine that was really quiet like a mouse is now talking like a machine. Like talk, comfortable with it, doesn't hold back at all. If he doesn't meet me, though, he's going to spend the next 2, maybe 3 decades really convinced that he doesn't like it. He has to encounter me to find out that even after the 2 campaigns, that guess what? He does. And players are this complex and this nuanced. So it's like when I hear very simple statements about the hobby or how players are, or even what people think, I know there's so much nuance that is really being left out of the conversation. Like, and I've done this, I've game mastered for so many guys that I've actually encountered this, like going into the details and finding this stuff out. That when I hear a guy go, "Why, I just don't like this," I'm like, Yeah, and if a guy like that doesn't meet me, he can go on for like 30 years, never exploring that part of the game. It's like guys that will tell me, like, even though I know the history and pure theater of the mind combat, we'll hear guys on panels today, Black Rose, that will say, will outright say, even though the history says complete otherwise, right? They'll say you can't really do combat with pure theater of the mind. Though the history says go back to the old school, and 70 to 80% of DMs were doing consistent, very confident, like breathing air combat in pure theater of the mind. No problem. But these guys, they don't know the history. So they just openly talk like this. But the reason is, it's because they haven't done it, or they haven't tried. Or if they did try, they tripped up and just gave up and then went back to a thing. And they don't know these little things. So they're in their minds, if they become very simple about how they look at the hobby. So again, I've met guys where I'm like, yeah, you play what, 40 years? Yeah, you don't like social interaction. Okay. I was like, even those type of guys I brought into campaigns where by the end of the campaign, they're talking and they're comfortable talking and they're confessing to me, yeah, I didn't think I'd be into this, but I've been playing for 40 years and I'm having a good time. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's like, yeah, I know, because talking is part of the game as well, like in character. Uh, Dealing with the guards, trying to get the merchant to talk to you, dealing with the faction leader, or negotiating with the enemies. It is part of the game. There is a gamey element to social interaction, right? Social interaction get you into a room and get you a deal. It can get you information. So it's not just about character development. It is about playing a game. That's why they call it a role playing game and not just a board game, right? And to me, for a lot of players out there that ignore the social interaction part of the game because they think they got to do a unique voice, which they don't have to do. But when they avoid it, they start playing more a board game than a role playing game. Like at that point, it's like, do go play Axis and Allies. Like they're role playing. Yes, of course, role playing is other things in the game too, but social interaction is a core element of role play, right? And a byproduct should be character development, which again, if you go back to Beckme, by the time you get to the language in Beckme, it's not that it's written into the game, but there's lines like, once you know who your character is. And that just tells you right there that the staff of TSR has an expectation that they don't get to tell you how to do this. That just by social interaction, by doing that part of the game, you will naturally develop a character. Hey, Zag, what's up, dude? Sunday. Who's ever going to be in for Monday has to pass a character in by at least by Sunday night, right? I need time to sort things out, so I need it by Sunday night. Have a care so we can pitch and I can adjust things in. That's pretty much it. That's a rule. But yes, welcome to the stream, dude. We're talking about kits tonight, which you might want to hear about because kits are optional for the characters. There's a host rule thing on that link, and the link I posted up. You just have to scroll up in the thing so you can go check out the host rules and what you can do to make character. But outside of that, there is that package for the second edition material. You can go in and find a kit and definitely pick one that suits your character. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care if it's ghetto. I don't care if it's on Notepad. I'm not. It's. I don't care about the fanciness of the character sheet thing. But I mean, whatever you want to do, whatever you think you got time to do, go for it. But you can keep it simple with me. I'm old school. Don't care about those things. But I am looking forward to it if we can actually get everybody with a character done. That'd be nice. It'd be nice, right? But if I just don't have enough people for Monday night, we'll wait a week. Oh yeah, yeah. But it'd be like 8 o'clock. It will start around 2 hours from this time. So 6 o'clock my time right now. It will start around 8 o'clock my time. It's just because where he is, I think it's like Australia. In Australia, I think. But by 8 o'clock my time, it's like noon his. Just text lines, yeah, very basic shit. I don't care. That's the idea. Yeah, he's in that group thing, and I gave him a heads up and told him if he wanted to join up, and he said he's interested. So him, Bill Scheer, uh, our recent Fox guy that's been around, and I got Brody as well. So that's at least 4 players. That's good enough for me. 4 players. Only to start Monday night if we got enough of the character. If we got their characters all done, ready to go for Monday. Has to be done by tomorrow night, though. That is the rule, and my rule is I need at least 3 players. 3 out of the 4 have to be able to play Monday. If not, next Monday. That's how it's going to work. But yes, so yeah, AJ is going to be fun. AJ interview, just a reminder, is going to be just like a classic interview you guys have seen before, where I'm going to ask AJ about some of his background, some things that are just about his. He knows a lot about gaming history. It's a topic he digs into. So I'm going to ask him things that aren't going to be like, as you guys know, as Black Rose knows for sure, I'm not a journalist and I don't ever do gotcha questions. My questions are all meant to be easy. I find stuff that the guys have talked about, like to talk about, or have a lot to say on. And then I ask questions with the intent to just make it easy for them to blast off, right? Like it's stuff they're going to be comfortable with talking about. So I'll get a bit into his background. At the end of that little run, we're going to talk a bit about his game, and then we're going to jump into a little bit more casual talk, but it will still be some questions maybe up front to sort of start it off, which will be about Plenium. He's a big fan of Plenium fan, and he's well connected to it. A lot of people know him to be a big Plenium fan, but yeah, he does history and everything. Different light browsing. Oh, with the game, you mean? I don't know, the game or the interview. Yeah, second edition online. I have enough time that I could squeeze in Mondays for a campaign, and a long campaign. Right? That's why I just want the guys to show me they're serious. Don't hand me something in 10 minutes before the session. Like I don't accept that type of stuff. And I look, I've worked on 14 hours. I've worked on this campaign for the online thing. So it's taken me weeks to get ready before I was comfortable with just doing the small pitch. And I have 14 hours of just straight up prep and ideas. Not like stuff set in stone, but stuff that could be. All these ideas, things that are going to go with the whole thing. And it's 14 hours, a lot of work. Took me a lot of weeks to just work it up privately, kept that all to myself without mentioning anything to anyone, then put the pitch out there. And then it's like, I'm a serious game master. I want serious players. That's it. And I made sure to give everybody days. I mean, I'm glad that Zay came back around where I was able to actually give him days to get ready instead of just like telling him tonight or you know what I mean, tomorrow morning sometime. I'm glad that Zay was around because I knew Zay wanted to play. So boom, Brody knows, Bill knows, Fox knows, and Zay knows. And if all of them get their characters done by tomorrow, like at least by tomorrow night, I got 4 players with characters ready to go for what could be a very, very long online campaign. Second edition online campaign. And if you read the pitch to it, if anybody has, you sort of got an idea that they're going into sort of like unsecure land. Like that's the aim. That is the aim. And it seems like they're definitely being pushed towards something. I'll just tell them this, no matter what it seems like. If I say I do a sandbox and not so much railroad, that I don't talk with my ass. So if you read it and go, oh, he's going to railroad them into something. Well, difference between what you read and what I tell you, right? So it will all line itself up at one point. Other players? No, just the 4 of them are on the group. I'm happy to get those guys. And that's 4 players is enough to start a campaign with. I mean, I could take on a 5th player. I do up to 5. Right, so these 4 are in. That's secure every Monday game for them going forward. And they've secured a good game with a good game master. Like It's second edition, dude. Like, I'm gonna run. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be fun. I'm not trying to brag. It's just gonna be fun. I'm gonna have a good time, right? That's the idea. Yeah, I haven't done online gaming in a long time, so it'll be good. It will be good. And I warn players. I mean, they get some warnings. Like, my game doesn't pause, so I warn players when they're thinking. Right? Game's still going. Oh, I meant like class, kit, alignment. That I'm waiting for. I don't exactly know what people want to play right now. I've given them all kinds of suggestions, but I mean, it's on them. Like, it's like, look, if you get your characters in on time, and you could have told the other players what you're going to play, and you could have posted that up in the room, and I've told everybody that. Sag heard me say it the other night. I said it to Bill, Fox, and Brody. Those guys have it on them. Like, at this point, they're all grown adults, and they know they could be intelligently posting what they want to play in front of other people to make sure other people might take another choice. But if they all come in with one type of class and that group is going to get fucked early on, that's on them. As long as they play right and pass the characters in on time, I don't have an opinion about how they might get fucked. It just might get fucked. It's so there's a limit to how much I enforce. I enforce players to show me courtesy. Okay, say like 24 hours beforehand. I have those courtesy expectations, but decisions and how they go about making their characters, I can give them a heads up that they should do stuff, but these are all grown ass adults, right? I'm not their mother. I'm not their father. I'm not their fucking therapist. If they want to half ass into the situation, that will be them half assing their way into the situation. That's on them. They want to be lazy about things I'm not going to be bothered by. Let them be lazy. I don't care. I've never put that. I don't put that much control on players. I have it that they respect me and they respect the game itself. I want a character be 24 hours beforehand, not last minute. Like, don't fuck with me. I want a bit of respect on that end. They show up and they pay attention and play. It's not much. That's the couple of things I'll ask for. The way they play a certain night, I don't have an opinion. If they keep running hit first into a wall, that's on them, dude. If they could communicate as a group of players and work around things and make their group effectively better, but they choose not to, I don't have an opinion. I don't care. I'm not that much of a control freak. I ask for courtesy. Respect me, respect the game. As long as I know you'll do that every time going forward, I'll keep running the game for you. But these other decisions affect your experience, not mine. So if you go in and have a bunch of characters that are going to fucking fall on their face, I'm going to have a good time. Sorry if some of those nights turn on you really badly. I'll have a good time. So that's it. Respect me, respect the game. That's it. That's my only demands. So there's some other demands some game masters will make out there that I don't, but where I am strict, I'm really strict. Behavior, respect the game, respect me. Do those things, and the rest is on you. Yeah, you want to be able to hold the sword. But no, you can't play a half king, which is your halfling. Wouldn't happen. you can play the halfling, but as far as a large two-handed sword, no, too big, can't carry it. It is not happening. And I am one of those DMs that will screw you over if you play. Like, you walk into a small room with a big two-handed sword, you're gonna swing. Like, make a roll. What, for attack? No, we're gonna see if it sticks into the wall. Oh, yeah. Oh, I imagine for 5e and 3.5, I've heard some stupid things. Yeah, like I've heard some like I can punch a dragon out. Look, I'm not saying you can't try some silly things in old school, but man, nothing's easy. It's just very dangerous to try ridiculous stuff, but doesn't mean you can't. Doesn't mean you can't. Like, we shouldn't pretend that you can't do some insane things in old school. You definitely can. You definitely can. Uh, but sometimes when you see the new school, it's cheap. It's not like risk taking. It's actually quite easy, and that's what makes it sort of laughable. It's like, yeah, okay, all right. It's like, okay, sure, you can wrestle the dragon. No, you can't. No, you can't. Your human character cannot wrestle the dragon. It's not going to happen in this game. But I'm not saying you can't pull off some crazy things like that. It's just it's a lie to say you can't, even in old school. But it's nuance. It's everything's complex. I have to hear what the situation is, what you want to do, and I'm open minded. Right. I'm open minded to a lot of things, but there's simple things like, hey, can I just like wrestle down a dragon as a human? Is it a baby dragon? But likely no. Likely no, ain't gonna happen. So is there circumstances where a lot of things can happen even under these conditions? I mean, sure, possible. I don't totally say no. I've been DMing for too long and too many sessions and too many players. I've seen everybody try everything you can think of. And so people pull stuff off that I would say, if I go back like my first like 10 years, I had that ignorant mindset of like, oh, you can't do this. There's no, and then people pull stuff off and they're like, I'm like, okay. So had that happen to you more than once, and you start realizing it's naive to keep thinking that even as the game master that you can know everything. So you can assume something won't work, but I mean that's just such a simple-minded thing, and simple-minded thinking is not good for our hobby. It's not made for simple people, at least not for the guy who runs the game. If you're a really, really simple-minded thinker, you can play, but in my opinion, if we had standards, you would not be allowed to be a game master. I would make it a rule that you're not allowed in that chair. Just know it, dude. You're too simple-minded for this. Like, and if you try to enforce that simple-mindedness when somebody is showing you creativity, that's even worse for the hobby. That's an awful standard. That's awful for your own game. It's awful for don't even pitch that to people. Like if you're saying no when somebody's pitching something at you that could be possible, but you're in that simple minded. And I've seen game masters do this that are simple minded. I go back to why am I so critical of Raw from AD&D 1E? It's not because of the current conversation about rules as written. I've had my sour experience with it back like I'd say around like the early 90s when I really started noticing just what I didn't like about it, which was hearing DM say to a player, the player would pitch him something that, I mean, when you think about it, you could possibly do. But the book doesn't say you can. So what would the DM say to the player? That's not what it says you can do in the book, so no. And then not just hearing that once, but I started hearing the vast majority of these rules as written guys, almost like 90+% of them, all saying the same thing. You can't try this idea. You can't. It doesn't say this in the book. You can't. It's starting to realize these guys. This is why I started noticing the difference between them and every other what I would call. I started taking as real dungeon masters, and this even included real dungeon masters as in normal AD&D 1E DMs, not raw guys, not tournament raw guys, but they were actually a minority. The raw guys were the majority. And they would so consistently say no. It started to bother me because every other DM from OD&D to Beck Me to the regular AD&D 1E DMs and second edition DMs, if you pitch something creative at them, they were willing to hear you out. Doesn't even mean they say yes to everything, but they're willing to hear you out, and they are willing to let you try things that will make sense, even if it's not exactly as it is written. And this is consistent with OD&D, Beck Me DMs, second edition DMs, and a minority and only the non-raw, non-tournament style DMs for 1E would actually let you try stuff. You get to over 90% of what you would call rules as written tournament DMs for AD&D 1E, because there was no other rules as written tournament style for any other edition. You don't find those kinds of DMs with OD&D, BECME, or second edition. You only find them with 1E. And the vast majority of them would say, if you said something that you could possibly do, like you could look at the rules and go, if you're an open-minded DM, you can say yes to that. They'd say, no, not in the book. No, not in the book. No, and that was consistent. So consistent, it made me sour against them. So people will think I have, because of modern day conversations around this, I have my issues. Like, no, I've had my issues with the raw rules as written tournament guys since as early as 91. When I started saying something out loud about it, I started being bothered by these guys. I'm like, guys, if you can't think outside the box, maybe you shouldn't be DMing. I started saying that straight to them. I had no problem. I just said, like, I don't think you're real DMs. A real DM is creative and can think. You can't. You simply can't. You're not saying no for a legit reason. You're saying no because you're fucking stupid and you should be in another chair, not in that one. And I've always believed the Game Master chair should be for people that that can look at this in a nuanced way, because you're going to get creative players out there that want to try things. And it's like, can you think outside the box? And if you can't, that seat's not for you. And the main TSR DMs I've seen that were guilty of not being able to think for themselves were all raw rules as written, AD&D, very specific too, AD&D 1E tournament style DMs that did the tournament style of rules as written at home. And I started calling them module DMs because these are all the guys that they could not run the game without a module. Now, OD&D guys could do sandbox. BECME could do sandbox. The minority of regular AD&D 1E guys could all do sandbox. Sandbox is a natural way of actually running the game. That was how it starts. That's how almost every other game was going. Traveler did it that way. Sandbox is regular, right? And it's something you gotta. Well, if you're gonna be, you should be the most intelligent person in your group running the game. Sandbox is to be creative, improvising is natural. It's all supposed to be part of what you're doing. The second edition guys could do sandboxing. The minority, the only 1E guys I've seen do sandboxing were non-raw, non-tournament style DMs. BECME guys could do sandbox. OD&D guys could do sandbox. The second you get to the rules as written, tournament style DMs, I started using the term module DMs. Not because I hated modules, but it was a way of separating them with a label from what I call real dungeon masters. I started calling them module DMs. And people know this. Anybody who's known me on YouTube for like the last 7 years, they have probably seen me put out a video or two where within the title, it will say like, here's my thoughts on module DMs. And it's the module DM is the guy who can't do a sandbox. If you mention any creative idea as a player to him that you could possibly do, he'll say no, if it's not exactly written in the book as it is. Can't think for himself. I'm like, dude, other than being told what to do by the book and then doing exactly what the module says, what do you bring to this other than being a servant to the module in the book? Like, you know what I mean? Like, these are the tournament style guys. So I said they weren't real DMs because I'm like, dude, the book runs a game and the module is the adventure. You are a fucking mouthpiece. You're a mouthpiece who can't think for yourself. And there was so many AD&D 1E guys that were like this. And I got it. This was a way of creating DMs for a surplus of players. The whole tournament thing in Raw was just a way, modules were a way of, it's think about it. If you put out a game that's popular and it's like, imagine, again, I go back to the PlayStation thing. Imagine putting out PlayStation games, you get like 1 million customers, but you only have like 120 consoles to sell. Uh-oh. So what do you do? TSR thought ahead. Like, what do you do if this game becomes popular for people that want to play it? But if you look at the number of DMs existing, there's no way they can take on a surplus of players coming into the hobby. And 10% of players are playing at home with the group. So the majority of your customers and new players are all going to be people with no friends, no built-in group that have to come out to the public and meet strangers where they can game. In 5e, he ran module after module, never bothered to do sandbox. He was good enough to DM, but lacked the creativity to think of. But this is how they did third edition. I'll hear guys, old school guys always just lie to defend 1e, or they just don't know the history or the truth. They're like, third edition was built off second edition. No, it wasn't. That's an absolute lie. Third edition is rules as written, third party adventures. It's built off 1e raw tournament style, which second edition dropped the tournament style. The second edition is one of the most it is the most outright anti rules as written edition out of TSR. I mean, it's in the language. It is, I mean, in AD&D, it's not so much, against it, but it just doesn't tell you exactly how to. Gives DM authority. Same thing with Beckme. Second edition outright rejects rules as written. Rejects it, right? Gives all the authority to the DM. So it makes it very clear. When you get to third edition, what do? They lean in to the 1e rules as written tournament style module play. Do as the book says. Here's your third party. And it's I sort of get it as a company why they did it. I'm not really that mad, but it makes sense when you look at it from the point of view of what happens if you put out a game and you have not produced any DMs. Like and DMs in old school, we knew from OD&D to Beckme before AD&D 1E come out. A DM could take, like, they'd start off, it'd be really rough. It could take months to develop as a real dungeon master to the game to be able to run at least a credibly decent game. I mean, for a lot of guys, not all. Some have natural talent, but very few guys are being produced. So what does the tournament style do for AD&D 1E? It gives a way for guys who have no skill as a DM to come in and become a DM, right, en masse, to be able to handle the surplus of players that would be coming into the hobby. And where did the tournament DM go? Was this an at-home guy? Why did TSR focus on public gaming? Why? And that's what tournament style was. You got to remember, tournaments were public gaming. TSR understood the vast majority of people coming into the hobby had no friend built-in group. It's like a realization, 10% of your people are at home with their friends and family. The other 90% are people that are nerds, that are antisocial, that want to be in the hobby. They want to purchase your stuff, but where do they go game? So you start your tournament style, and you start being able to produce DMs that aren't really, put it this way, the store owner could take the night to read some of the rules, the module, and run the game the next day and not have to have any skill or talent to do so. He could bring people in, no skill, no talent. The book says what to do, and so does the module. You are a mouthpiece. That's all you are. And that's what third edition became. A mouthpiece game. Third party adventures right away, rules is written. 4E, same thing. Module, mouthpiece, rules is written. You need no talent to run these games at all. I don't hate on them. Doesn't mean there weren't people that came in with some talent that wanted to run them at one point or another. Of course, I'm a nuanced thinker. I get there's more to it than just that. But on the front of it, WotC stole the tournament style scam that TSR was doing. Like, you can't instantly produce DMs. So like you can't through a normal structure. So you have to create a structure that sort of falsely creates guys that are not really DMs, but they can play the role. They can pretend to be that by letting the book run the game and the adventure. But then you get a knockback effect with that. If you're a creative player, most of these guys can't think outside the box with the rules. So if you come to them and say, these are the guys that we're going to say no to, you come up with a creative idea. The rules actually shouldn't, you should have a DM that should be able to say yes to this if they're open-minded. And these guys would all be the ones that say no. Now, when those same players came to a DM like me, you could pitch something and I could possibly say yes. So it's like, well, like players that decide what they want. Do they want just by the book? Well, that's it. And you got to realize how many players try to play the game where they bend the rules in the book. So when I even hear guys out there going, well, you should just run the game in the book. That's what players want. That's actually no. When I was younger, uh, when I came into it, the vast majority of players always wanted to try things that weren't directly in the books. So, or the book didn't actually spell out properly, or even say, or even offer. It's like there's a possibility of it, but who knows? Like you'd have to have a DM open mind to say yes to this. There's no guarantee. Well, what do you want? Do you want a guy who says, well, the book doesn't say that, so no? But there you go. That was my issue with tournament style. That's why I use that term module DM. It's not new to me. I started saying it in 1991. So some people think I just started saying it to counter some people on here. I'm like, no, dude, I've been saying module DM, and I've been going on about AD&D 1E tournament style and raw play since 91 as well. I started noticing that. I didn't like it. I never have. And it's not like I tell people what to do at their table, but the guys will come talk to me with this stuff. So it's like, Steven, I do this. I'd be like, well, I think you're a module DM. If you don't want to hear me say that to you, don't come talk to me. But even in 91, you could never say I went to somebody's table and told them what I thought. I don't care how you play personally. if you got players that will sit at your table and play, that's fine. But I mean, if you come talk to me, it's the same thing as YouTube. It's no different now as it was then. I would never enforce my opinions on people. I would never go to their table and tell them what I thought. But if they came to me and said, they start like preaching about how they run the game from their raw style, I'd be like, well, yeah, I think you're a shit DM. I'd even think you're an actual DM, and I think I call you a module DM. I made a lot of guys walk away from me, like offended as hell. But I'm like, dude, you asked, and I usually wouldn't even say it right away. So it's pretty nice. It wasn't like I just stuck it in people's face that they came up to me, but they start preaching, and I know what kind of DM they are. It's like, don't preach your shit at me, or you're gonna hear me call you out. I will call you out. I have no shame. Had a lot of guys just say, "Oh, I'll punch you in the face." Go ahead. You're a shit DM. You're not even a real thing, and I call you a module DM. I've always been just the type not to care. Yeah, I don't care if you say kick my ass. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to tell you how it is. But still, I wouldn't go to someone's table. To this day, I would never go to someone's table and tell them how to do something. Though when people on here, Black Roses, it's a lot of people want to control what we say on here. So even though I'm not going to someone's table, and that's quite clear that I'm not going to someone's table and telling them how to play, I'll just get people that will come by and say, well, I'm sick of you like coming and telling me and my players how to play the game. I'm like, no, that's an awful thing to do. But the reason you're painting it that way is so you can try to say that what I say here has no legitimacy or shouldn't be part of the dialogue. It's just a form of attempt to control what people say here. All right. Okay, Oracle. We're going to talk about kits very shortly, probably in a few minutes here. Probably in a minute. we were talking about some things. Let's actually talk about kits. So I'll give you guys sort of the general rundown why I like kits from second edition so much and why I think they're valuable. And I want to note the difference. We got to get the nuance here. There are players in the hobby, no matter what game, a minority, that can truly take initiative with a character. And the same things that many players might require, they don't. Refer to your own preference as not correcting anyone, or might have had a brain stroke. That's it, Black Rose. But I've had a lot of commenters come by because if guys don't like what you have to say, instead of just turn the channel or saying they don't agree, they have to come up with a way that is to paint you as a bad guy, right? So they make an accusation like, I don't, you shouldn't be telling people what to do. Well, I'm not. Like they're saying as if I'm going to their table and telling them what to do. I'm not. But imagine if you could paint paint it that that's what I'm doing. So if that is what I'm doing, that's an awful thing to do. And that means what I say here should be dismissed. And I shouldn't even be able to really have my say here because that's awful. Now, that's not what I'm doing, but we all agree it's bad for somebody to go to your table and tell you how to game. Say I'm just saying something here in the video, which you could turn the channel, you could ignore, but you don't like what I'm saying. One of the ways to dismiss what I'm saying is to falsely paint what I'm doing, like falsely paint how I'm saying it or whatever I'm doing. So you can paint me as a bad guy. Then you could dismiss what I'm saying. So that's what they're attempting to do. It's not even I shouldn't even, you should never even have to say you're not going to someone's table. It's like I go to another YouTuber and I hear what they're saying about the game. I would never just it's the commenter that's doing the falsity there, Black Rose. So I would never make a YouTuber, expect a YouTuber to justify, like, just by happenstance of what they're doing. They are not going to your table. If they're making a video saying what they think, you can't even semi-paint that. That's you lying. You're just fucking two-faced. And the second a YouTuber has to come out and say, that's not what I'm doing. No, a YouTuber doesn't have to. They're simply not doing it. 1 + 1 = 2. And even if some commenter comes here and says, oh, 1 + 1 = Jello, they're wrong, they're lying, or they're fucking stupid as fuck. One of those things are going on. But at no point are you wrong for saying 1 + 1 = 2. And that's why I get it. I'll point this out. I personally do make a point to say I would never go to someone's table, right? Or if I talk about what I've done in the past in person, I'll clarify. I don't go to anyone's table when I've told people what I think, right? But is it necessary? Especially here as a YouTuber? No, because you're making a video. You're not going to anyone's table and telling them anything. And free speech, in this case, is just the open square of ideas, the way I look at it. All this is the open square of ideas. If my ideas are bad and not worth listening to, people just won't listen. The ideas will fail, and they'll fail on their own. And you don't have to censor me, shut me up, falsely paint what I'm saying. You know what I mean? You don't got to do none of that. If your ideas are bad or what you're saying is wrong, people shouldn't even have to lie. In the open square of ideas, your ideas, if just fairly put with no pushback, should fail. Right? That's the idea. So yeah, I'll get there. But anyway, back to kits. Kits to me, like there's a minority of players that we have to acknowledge that can just take initiative and don't really need a lot of help for a lot of things, right? But when you get to a vast majority of players, you get quite a few who sometimes have a hard time knowing where to start, especially if you throw them in a sandbox or something, or even a normal railroad game. They might just follow the railroad, but never do anything for their individual characters. No, Black Rose is cool. That weird emojis, but yes. When you get to kits, what I feel like kits are like, if you're good at using a backstory for more than just some weird stuff, someone writing good backstory for a basic character will apply an idea of what the character wants to do in life, and meaning they'll have goals. They'll give direction to their character, right? Now, sometimes that direction is not too clear, but kits really help you clarify direction. Like they give you an idea of who your character is. It could be like a samurai with a code. So it gives you some clarity of how you're probably going to role play the character. So first off, it's going to help you with ideas to role play who the character is, to help you form into who they are. Not just a random guy. Now he's a samurai with a code, or he's a barbarian. But this is how this type of person is. So there are some role playing elements that are now worked into it for someone who's not creative or doesn't take the initiative. That could be really helpful. It could be helpful to anybody, but really helpful. And then it doesn't take much to look at that and form goals, right? It's sort of like a great push to form goals. Not wrong. I don't care about backstory. I mean, just I warn you, Zeg, don't put anything in there you don't want me to use, right? And don't. I mean, just understand if you put something in there, it's like in my backstory, I get a +2 sword. No, you don't. So my common sense as far as if it's to help you come up with who the character is and character development, I don't care. It's all cool with me. I'll play to it as much as I can. I don't sour, but like my warning is like I do 1 page. I'll take like a decent page of a backstory. Don't give me free, but I'll take a page. So I mean, it can be quite lengthy, right, compared to a lot of other game masters. But don't put something in there you don't want me to use. Like this assassin is after my family. I don't know if he's actually going to find me or don't put that in there. Not if you don't want to be like halfway through the game, but like, all right, you see something on your table and you realize it's like a sign from that assassin because he's found where you are. Dude, I don't want this guy killing me. Well, you shouldn't have put him in your backstory, dude. Like, don't blame me. I don't want to hear bitching, moaning, crying, whining. Don't put anything in there like because I might be tempted to use it. Like basically, it's not about fucking you over, but it is about using stuff that if you put that in there and that can fuck you over, watch out, dude. Watch out. Uh, but yeah, I mean, as long as you're using your common sense egg, you're fine. Scamming for stuff you can't, no. But no, I don't frown at backstories. If it's going to help you role play and give you some ideas for goals that you want with your character, I'm very extremely happy. Very happy. As long as it's going to inspire you. That's the main aim of the backstory, isn't it? Right? It is inspire you. Give you an idea of how you might role play the character, goals that your character might have, uh, stuff like that. I mean, if you feel like it's doing that work for you, that's what you should be using it for. Uh, if it does nothing for you, I mean, just I guess really it can be fluff. So I it's up to the players. I don't know. When I read it, I'll know for sure. But if you think it's going to help you role play the character and give you an idea of what you want to do, oh well, then cool. That's exactly it. Like you want it to maybe explain some of your skills or some shit like that. There's nothing wrong with some basic like, oh, here, explain some of the background. But if it also helps you give you an idea of what you want to do with the character, that's a great thing. You just got to be careful. It's I won't do that to you if you haven't applied it. There's just a reason. I have a rule. Like it's one thing to have a player like you go into a game and somebody knows, but I'm a very public DM oracle. So I set standards so people know. But it's beyond that. There's some things. It's like, look, if I'm in a group with guys I know, and there's exceptions I can make, I'll make them. If I'm starting off a new group with strangers, strangers as far as me and them, like really, we're not personal friends. And that way, we're gonna maybe work to that at one point. I'm gonna game master them. And there's some exceptions I won't make. Right? You know what I mean? I won't push there. It's like certain things I don't get mad at players for. There's a lot of things players do that other DMs will get picky about. I don't really care. I have certain things like courteous. I want a character 24 hours before the first session. I want you to respect the session and come in and just play the game. If you and the other players have made some terrible choices on characters because you didn't talk to each other and there was no communication, there wasn't this and wasn't that, and you guys had weeks to do that, talk to each other, sort things out, come up with ideas. I don't care. I don't care if we go into a session and you play horrible that night. I don't get an emotional attachment to your bad play. My thing is just respect me, respect my effort, respect the game. Do that. I don't care about the rest. As far as forcing things in, I will simply tell strangers. So then it makes sense to them. There's no guessing game here, and they're strangers. If you put something in your background, I might use it, right? If you don't initially, no, I wouldn't do that. But now, in a nuanced way, Oracle, if I'm sitting down with personal friends and I know that I can push something, or I have nothing but a table of experienced players that would accept a lot from me, I know this initially. Yeah, yeah, right. But a lot of times, it's starting off with new players. Like this group for the online one is going to be all like people that watch content. Like I don't all know them personally. It'd be the first time I ever game master for them. Right. So I'll go with my normal public stance as a DM. Watch what you bring to the table. As far as backstory. But on the kits are a great way to give you an idea of how to role play. I know other characters to work in something from backstory as they had fallen or left. So my character was the oldest member. It was like funny to have an old friend of my character return. Oh, nothing wrong with that. Again, there's a lot of exceptions I'll make if it's like I say, if it's people I know, different story. So I get where I'm just saying I get where you're coming from, but the reason I'll just letting Zeg know he doesn't have to worry about that happening. It's because I don't know Zeg, right? And we all know that some people take things the wrong way. And if you have not established a relationship like that with certain people, where you know, and you know the rule, a good DM for a good game master before you start stepping over lines, it's good to know your players. It's always good advice. Know the players, know the people, and have a good relationship with them. Work up some trust, work up the exceptions, form that. I would imagine the guys you're gaming with are guys you know, so they have a good relationship with you. If I was DMing you and knew you well enough, I might do something like that with you. If I think, yeah, Oracle can handle it. Like if I do something, he'll know it's not to fuck him; it is to be creative. And I personally, even if I bring the assassin, I really wouldn't just bring it into Scroob. Like I'm going to give a good opportunity to characters to deal with this shit, right? And it is to be creative. It is not to fuck the game over. Even though I have to legitimately bring the danger in. It's not like danger won't be there, right? But again, I'm still going to try to make sure it's interesting, right? And then at least under these conditions, if a player put that in their backstory, they can't sit there and whine, especially if I've given them a really good drilling warning. If you put this in, I might use it, right? Semi off topic, but related to your system. I'm reading your stats for gunpowder weapons. I'm guessing it's past flintlock technology from it use additional damage. For mine. Okay. No. Like it's there is additional damage, obviously, and you can max out, and there is some things for that, but no. No. Is it 1800 style bullet? Not exactly. Think about like a semi working your way into the industrial age, but you have magic. I don't sit there and put certain limits on the guns. And it's what I mean is they can actually look at how can I say they can be closer to further ahead of their time because of who made them and how they were made and what they were made with. As far as releasing all the information backstory on the guns exactly to describe some of these details, there's some purposeful lacking, but no, not exactly, not exactly. Because so much of the details will pigeonhole your thing in or people question it. So I just dropped that right away. Weird off topic, but fair enough. Fair enough. Nothing wrong with that. Uh, can a bullet hit you at max damage potentially and keep going through? Yeah, yeah. But no, there's no exact knockback. You got to read it, and there's some things I'm really lacking on because I purposely remember I've told you this before, Black Rose. Um, when you start adding little details in there, now you got to decide: does this happen? Does this happen? What about this? What about this? What about this? Okay, there goes your fucking gameplay. Now you're just doing what every other game did, and you're throwing gameplay away for the sake of realism. Now the experience of shooting the gun and playing with the gun is gone. Now you're not playing Rust or DayZ. Now you're just playing another tabletop role playing game, which slows down gunplay and destroys the experience. So I just go. I always tell people don't compare everything to other games. Don't compare too many things to sort of certain levels of realism. And I drop that on purpose. Complete game, speed, boom. Don't think about these things. It's okay. Complete okay, but that's the reason I some details I don't concern myself with because I still look at it like a game, and so there's some game elements where I go I could explain that, and then if you start explaining something, you realize explain this, then this can happen. Then you got to put that in. Then you got to consider that, and it's like now you got to consider that for every shot of the game. And what does that do during actual gameplay? Try your shot. Does it do? Okay, take another shot. Okay, consider these things. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, take a go fuck yourself. Bang, 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 bang. Right? And it won't feel like that in the game where we're like, take the shot, feel shut the fuck up. It all goes into a one. Uh, and I'm not talking to you, but I'm talking the principle of thinking about these things or even applying certain things. There's a game element I take advantage of for the illusion of real as far as how does it feel to be shooting a gun in real life. Boom, 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 boom. Consider like the Rust or Daisy thing. Boom, 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 boom. I don't want to go into a role playing game where it's okay, you shot the gun. What if the knockback? Oh, you can take another shot now. Just stop the mumbling bullshit. Suck my fucking ass. Stop playing it like it's a tabletop role playing game. Bang, 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 bang. That's my attitude with the gun. So the second you start bringing that thought process in, the illusion of real is gone to the tabletop role playing game. It's completely gone. The illusion of real means you skip over these things. If you don't, if you apply the thinking, consideration, everything else, now I leave it to a game master. He's taking this much damage. You think he's falling on his ass? Yeah, he is. Okay, have fall on his ass. Okay. Do I need to tell you that? No. Does it always mean somebody has to fall on their ass when they're shot really hard? No. Is there a variation there? Yeah. What if I put it in charts and all this? Would that slow down the entire process? We got to consider that for every shot. Yeah. Would that just turn back into the shooting for a tabletop role playing game, where it's shoot, knock back? Oh no, no! I mean, just at that point, just put a stick up somebody's ass. Now the illusion of real is going to be eliminated. There is no way around it. Now you will not be bang, 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 because to do that means you got to ignore all these other things in that way. You have to allow a game master to freely apply some things. I put certain level of failure down to a one. The rest of it is game master. Do you feel like that guy would fall on his ass? Yeah. You don't need a table. Say he fell on his ass. Okay. All right. If we put a table in there, if we try to consider knockback, consider all these type of things, and all these details in it, there goes your illusion of real. Now shooting the gun will not feel like that at the table anymore. And now you end up falling into the problem every other game that's going to have guns like that falls into, right? And you ask players, what do you think is like shooting a gun? Like no. Every player, almost every tabletop role playing game, at first guns sound great until you get in and you're game playing with them, and you're like, bang. Okay, yeah, okay, oh, bang. Even though realistically, in life, you can just take that gun and bang, 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 bang on all these other experiences and other games that are made for this stuff to recreate that feel like a Rust or Daisy. Bang, 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 bang. At the table, what about the knockback? What kind of bullet is it? How many sticks are up my ass? Do I sit on the sticks? Sorry to be so poignant about it, but this was my attitude. This is a really harsh attitude of this is when I went from I like realism. I like also like, and I like the mix of everything, but there's an element of game that we are able to take advantage of. And the what I really hate about some old nerds is, hello, Bill, is when they degrade the game element because the game element doesn't fit the realism. And you realize the realism fucks the game up, fucks the experience up. But somehow, in the mind of a lot of nerds, even though the realism does that to your experience, somehow it's more valuable than the thing that makes your experience better. Now, what a backwards way to think, but a lot of nerds in our hobby think that way. They think the realism that fucks the game and your experience has more value than ignoring it for the sake of a better experience, which it is a better experience. Yet somehow the worst experience is valued more than the better one. That is a weird backwards way of thinking, right? I'm not saying it's you, Black Rose, but you're hitting on a point where I ignore certain elements and didn't even bother considering myself with, is it a 1800? Yeah, fuck, I don't give a fuck. It's a good bullet. It's this. What about these details? Doesn't matter. It's like, do you think it matters? If we care about it, what does it mean if it's this kind of bullet? Then you got to consider, well, this kind of bullet. Okay, so then does it break down the type of gameplay I'm applying? Well, cool. Well, then go fuck yourself and take that detail, stick it up your ass, and go for a fucking hike. I don't care. See you later. All right, I'm going to put the gameplay ahead of your realism. So the illusion of real to me is very valuable, even though I think there's a balance. There's a balance of realism I do want to put into the game. So I always just say, where can we put in the realism that doesn't fuck the game? And then where can we bend against realism in a way for the gaming aspect? And then when we do that, does that mean we don't care about realism? No. There's a mix of what we can make realistic and then the illusion of real, as they say. And then the odd things really don't matter. Like, it's the chef arrow thing. And Bill, I need a character by tomorrow night. But it's just letting you know, but it's a chef arrow thing with the short bow. In the game, you can't shoot a chef arrow with a short bow. I let it happen. You'd be like, well, don't even bother talking. I just, doesn't hurt the game. I don't care. I let it happen. No, Black Rose. I hope you don't take it as a personal hit at you here. I'm just making the point of, I'm using your statement. I don't mind. We're talking off script, so I'm using you. Thank you for letting me use you for a second. Thank you for letting me use you for a second to bring that up. I don't mind talking about this stuff at all. And I think it's actually good to talk about. And I don't mind being, it's like if somebody might even ask me about this and they should get a fair answer. The way I put my game together was just going illusion of realistic. And could you potentially find the odd thing in the game where it is just, I don't care? Yes, but if it's because I think that doesn't hurt the experience, right? You hear what I'm saying? It's like the chef arrow thing with short bows. I just don't think it matters, so I don't care. That's why I've never watched guys like, oh, you can actually shoot this many arrows out of a bow or something. I don't give a, like in real life, they're trying to, like, I don't give a fuck. Fuck off. I'll do it the game, so this game's good enough, as long as it works. There's just a part of me that can enjoy the game for what it is, on top of enjoying a level of realism. I think there's a balance to find there. And the second you tell me, well, hey, man, let's focus on realism that makes the experience worse. What the fuck are you? Go fuck yourself. Go shoot the bow whatever way that would fuck the experience up here at the game. You go do that in real life. We're still playing a game. At the end of the day, like, it's a mix of wanting to lean and be a little bit realistic, because it does bring some relatable value to it and some appreciation. But the second you tell me you can't appreciate that we're playing a game to a degree, you've lost me. Like, I don't want it to be an MMO. I don't want it to be a video game, but it is a game. It's a unique game. But there is a game element. And where that works well for us, we should never be ashamed of it. It doesn't mean we have to destroy everything. It's like, where can we put the gaming aspect that doesn't take away from the realism that we like? So if I want the world to be realistic, I want you to have a realistic character, experience the world through that, not to be a video MMO. Of course, there's a balance here, and we're looking for that through the role play, the character development, caring about certain levels of realism that we can apply. That's great. But then there is an element of game that gets balanced into that system, right? So it's like you just got to know where that is. And I think it was many ways I found my established. I think it's well established what it exactly is. You're always looking for balancing out, but there are a lot of old nerds that I'm not joking. Where I sat down, I watch them play the game, and I'm realizing they're giving up fun, like I mean, all fun for things that are actually making their personal experience and their players' experience worse. And I've seen guys do that for like 10, 15 years, and then they finally adjust. And they'll say things like, I should have been doing this way the whole time. I'm like, yeah, dude, I don't know what you think you were doing. You were just taking things. You forgot that you're still playing a game. There's some areas where it's okay to bend. To me, it's like, does allowing you to shoot a chef arrow with a short bow, does it ruin the experience for players? Does it really take away from realism in the overall game that you want to apply? Well, most players even know this. They care. Does it make the monsters easier to take down and destroy all combat in the game? Is it completely fine to do, and there's nothing wrong with it? Yes, completely fine. So it's little measurements like that where you start realizing there's nothing wrong with that, dude. That to me is very important, very important. Oh, like I'll give you an idea. So we'll go back to kits here for a second. Just tell you, like, there's almost like 30 or 40 kits, I swear. I forget to always count the numbers, but like for fighter, as we were talking about second edition kits, there's Amazon, Barbarian, Beast Rider, Berserker, Cavalier, Gladiator, Marathon, Noble Warrior, Peasant Hero, Pirate Outlaw, Samurai, Savage, Swashbuckler, Wilderness Warrior. I like the idea that they come up with this idea of, like, instead of calling them classes or separate classes, which they could have done, they call them kits. And the reason I talk about kits, especially with my own Neo TTRPG system, that you've been looking through it there, Black Rose, you'll notice I have classes and then class focuses. Class focuses are inspired by the kits. You could easily compare, you could say they're the kits in my game. So you'll notice that I have more base classes. There is especially with the Skullhorn, there's the psionic user, the mage who can cast without a spell book, just bending and using magic. There's the actual, like, wizard type spell caster that uses an actual spell book. Then there's the rogue and the warrior. And then you get to my class focuses, which are multiple for each. Well, how do you say it? I say Myrmidon. Bounty Hunter, I think, is for the thief. I just talked about fighter kits there. I said fighter kits, yeah. Yeah, the Bounty Hunter is not under the fighter kits at all. Thief. Kits. Yeah, like I said, Bounty Hunter is a thief. You heard me wrong. I mentioned it already. Actually, if we go through the kits for the thief, it's acrobat, adventurer, assassin, bandit, bagger. And this is the way they brought, like, assassin back to second edition. Assassin, bandit, bagger, bounty hunter, buccaneer, burglar, cut purse, fence, investigator, scout, smuggler, spy, swashbuckler, swindler, thug, troubleshooter, It's just so many, and that's so far. I mentioned the fighters and the thieves one. Now we go to, and yes, even wizards have kits. Academia. Academia. Something's on the Amazon sorcerer, and I got, all right, here. It's not like I sit here and practice saying all this stuff all the time. Here, I'll give you. Here's like a wizard kit. Militant wizard, mystic, peasant wizard, savage wizard, witch, wujen. Even, oh no, I don't think they do. Ranger does have kits, of course. Beastmaster, Explorer, Falconeer, Fairland, Forest Runner, Giant Killer, Greenwood Ranger, Guardian, Justifier, Mountain Man, Pathfinder, Sea Ranger, Seeker, Stalker, Warded. Just so many. So many. Crap loads of these things. There's a book for ninjas, and they actually have ninja kits, which is, yes, you can play ninjas, and there's Stealer Inn, Shadow Warrior, Intruder, Consort, Pathfinder, Lone Wolf, Spirit Warrior. I'd be open to some of them, like if you're playing a ranger type character, you could definitely pitch it at me. Priest have just by names. Amazon Priestess, Barbarian Berserker Priest, Fighting Monk, Nobleman Priest, Outlaw Priest, Pacifist Priest, Peasant Priest, Prophet Priest, Savage Priest, Scholar Priest, Pacifist Priest. I always thought the idea of that whole name of that kit was like a little gay. Yeah, that sounds really bad to say. Some things don't always work. When it comes to being creative on making characters or kits or anything, I let players like I tell players like even like say build them. I told them earlier. I'll even make sure Professor Sag knows. I don't care if you pitch me a potential kit that's not in the kit options. So like an idea, I've had guys ask me to like play like, could I play a carpenter, like warrior, meaning they want to be like a crafter? Yeah, then we work and we put a kit together. Not every kit has to be towards just fighting either. Like I don't mind. There, we think about domain play. You're thinking about like getting to levels where you can have a building, have a fort, have this, have businesses. I really am into that side of the game, like being able to make businesses, being able to build up a fort. If you're a thief, have like your own thieves guild or build your church. I'm majorly into that part of the game. I love it. I love all aspects of the game. I love getting out the characters adventuring and doing stuff. I love all this shit. But I love it when players really want to invest in the other side of the game as well. And I always give opportunities for players to do that. Like you might get back to the town or some major city and be able to be there. And give you a location where you can return. So it's like a town or a city where you could keep returning if you want, like you can stay there. That could be almost come like a home base, depending. So first setting up circumstances where you have places to go, and then giving you opportunities like, well, you got for a period of time you're going to be stuck here. So at one point in the campaign, you might find periods of time where you're stuck in a location where I might not make you play out every single day for a period of time. I'd say sometimes going to go by, but we can play out quite a few of the days as players are coming up with ideas to pitch me that they want to start a business. They want to they want to start their thieves guild. They want to find land for a fort. They want to open a church, and the players are into all that kind of cool stuff. I make that very accessible and a fun part of the game. Um, so when I tell players not everything has to be towards even combat or roguish stuff, I don't mind if, like, say, the carpenter kit idea, where the guy asked me if he could make something like that. That was towards crafting because it was more than just him wanting to get out and fight. He wants at one point to become a car like have a carpenter business, right? And I said, yeah, let's and be able to dig into the crafting. So I love all kinds of things, and yes, you could even get to the point of if you were a warrior having a fort with the military, you could even take a small army down that you cycled up and take down another group or something, some threat of orcs or maybe even another person, right? Take down their group of people. I've had that all done in games, but that really comes down to it's up to players and how much they want to participate with that stuff. I all I do is give opportunities, and you can freely pass them by. So I say, okay, because there's a mountain thing down, or you can't get by here, you're gonna be stuck in this place for several months or something. The players all just say for the next so many months, this is what I want to do, but there's no aim towards that stuff. Okay, I mean, yeah, I'll skip the so many months. I'll give them a quick update of what's happened, what's going on, where they're going to go, and we can just move on. But if players want to invest in that time, I'm all up for doing a session where we zoom in on certain days and they talk to people and they get certain things done, and that could be a lot of fun too. That could be a lot of fun. The game is not always just out adventuring and doing stuff. Sometimes it really is fun when you know part of what you're doing is getting that finding guys to build your fort thing, getting your host thing up, getting your business going. So there is a really fun aspect to that game, part of the game. Yeah, and I let people play to it too. Like I really do. I don't stop the game at level 10. I really let people play into it. I've let people become kings. We're like, how can I become a king and get out? You can. It could be a thing. You can have people uh, rule in your place for a period of time, or do things for you to make sure things are managed the entire time you're gone. It's all kinds of things that can be done. It's like, well, how would a king travel from his kingdom to go do trade and meet other people and do stuff? So it's like, well, imagine if we just said, okay, in this type of setting, you might be going out to do an adventure, not just going out to trade with another ruler or other nobles, right? So, of course, the same process in the real world where you leave people to run certain things, you do the same thing in the game, right? It just doesn't change. So it's possible to get out and still be a little crazy or do things as a ruler or somebody high up. Oh, very much so. It all can happen, no problem. So there's a fun side of the game where if you want to play into it, and I can let you play into it a lot. And I'm good at higher level gaming too, on top of low level gaming. I'm very comfortable, very comfortable, extremely comfortable high level gaming, and I've always had fun with it. So when I hear people, it's like high level gaming and old school D&D is broken. I'm like, well, for you it is, not for me. I've never had a problem with it, not like at all. It can be fun. They say it's two different games. Well, I've heard people say it's two different games. Well, levels 1 to 3 is not the same as levels 4 to 6 because you can do more. Of course, the game adjusts. It's not different games. It's just adjust. Like it's still D&D. It's just your options change as you improve, but they change at all parts of the game, not just the game is all fighting or all of this from levels 1 to level 9, and suddenly, that's all gone. We're playing a new game. No, it's not. Levels 1 to 3 is going to be different from levels 4 to 6, right? And level 7 to 9 will be different than levels 4 to 6, right? So, and what you can fight changes. What you can do, your options at level 7 to 9 is a lot different than your options from levels 1 to 3. So, of course, higher level games are vastly different than say levels 1 to 3, but they're not extremely different in reality from levels like say 8 to 9. So, in many ways, levels 4 to 6 aren't too far off of levels 1 to 3. but you can do more. It's the same thing as you keep upgrading. Things adjust. You're not playing a different game. You're 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 exploring different parts of the game, different options in the game. No, that exactly. It's up to players. See, what I do is I don't expect it or force it. That's what I told you there, Black Rose. I know how to enjoy the game as a DM, no matter what you do. Is it interesting when you want to get into it? I'll enjoy it. But if you don't want to, I can enjoy just a different side of the game, right? That can happen. You can't force everything on every player. You can paint it up. Usually, what happens when I notice when players don't want to just get locked down, especially a player like that, it's to see another player take advantage of a certain period of time. Like, so it just might be like you're stuck in a place so you can't do anything for a period of time anyway. So you could establish something there. You don't have to. You can end up moving on. But it's like I even tell people, you know, we got to make things work at a certain point to a point. But either way, it's sometimes players like that need to see other players taking advantage. Like I'm going to get my guild thing built up, and they start realizing just how cool it is. That happens to a lot of players over the years, where I've seen them not take advantage of something, and then they realize, man, that's a really cool part of the game, though. It's really awesome that you have your own guys now, and that you got your group, and you can get certain things done. Like if you just imagine having a thieves guild, and now you can actually find treasures you want or relics you want or something you want, and you don't even have to go adventure. You just send some of your guys out to get it, or you start a fort, and now you can have your warriors go gather stuff for you. See, when you get to higher levels, a lot of the smaller stuff you might want starts becoming situations where you could just get guys to go do it for you. It's like you could talk to the thief that you travel with, and if you have it's a thieves guild and you have a let's get some of our guys together and we'll get them to go to the dungeon and get some stuff for us. They can, and you don't get to go. See, if you're clever as you improve and get up in the game, you can do all kinds of things that people don't think to do. But it's not just that. The domain play stuff could just be like good for what you want to do, like as far as trading, getting better gear for yourself, travel. And are you really locked down? Like tied down to one area in the world? Well, in a way, you're really not, and you are and you're not. And how much of the world can you travel? It's not like you can just teleport all over the place anyway. And even if you have one spot, one location, doesn't mean you can't live in another location. It doesn't mean you can't extend out what you have already. It's like, okay, you owned a business over here, you got that opened up. Well, maybe you can move your people to another place if you need to. Okay, you establish a thieves guild. Well, they can move to the new town that you went to, right? it's, it's one of those things. But sometimes players just have to see how fun that can be, and they got to know their options. It's good to talk to players about what they can do with it. But sometimes players just personally don't want that responsibility. That's another thing, and that's okay too. Like you don't have to expect players to want these things. As a game master, I have a rule. I really do. I've gotten used to it over the decades. Uh, don't know how to have your fun as a game master without requiring having your fun through the players. And here's what I mean. I just enjoy whatever they do. They don't want to do a business and they want to go to the adventure. I'll enjoy that. I just enjoy interacting with the players. Is there a special, a unique fun that I can have if we're doing a business? Of course. But in reality, even if you don't want to, I'll still enjoy it. So I'm never disappointed that you'll skip something like that. And I know players that aren't just 3.5 either, Black Rose. I just know some old school guys that just will skip over this part of the game. Purposely have no interest in having a business or having a guild or having anything. Right. And now occasionally I know some players that will sometimes want to do it and then sometimes they don't want to. And so there's variation like that. And you have to, I say as a game master, don't get yourself disappointed over what they do or don't. Just enjoy whatever they do. That's my rule. That's why I say players have your characters done, especially before the first session, the day before at the very least. Show up and respect the game and pay attention. Again, you're adults. I hope you sorted out what characters you're all playing with each other, so you're sharing information and maybe trying to make choices that will better your experience. I hope you make good decisions in the game, but if you make bad ones, I won't have a worse time. You know what I mean? Like I don't hook myself on there. Micromanaging, and then they have a place they can crash every time they're nearby. Mm, that's sometimes that's it. You usually met with more enthusiasm, but not. And then it depends on you too. Like it's how do you handle it. Players in my game that love it, they love it because they think I handle it really well. Like they like the way I do time jumps where I treat it like traveling on the road. Like, you know what I mean? Like traveling on the road isn't like we focus on every single day. Could be so many days go by, but when we do focus, I call it like zooming in time, right? Maybe it's to explain scenery you're going by or paint the setting. Maybe it's to do something where you could potentially use a skill that you're going to see something that your character, because they have certain skills, might notice. Blah, blah. It's zooming in, doing a little bit of social interaction, playing with some of the bits. When I'm doing time jumping through long periods of time where you can build something, it's like doing the zoom in. They like how I handle it, and they like how things go. And they like that I do a lot of work towards this stuff too. So they actually feel like, and they like that I play a lot of NPCs. That's another thing I've told you, Black Rose, I'm really good at doing. So the fact that I can apply a lot of these different people that they're going to hire and stuff, and they can interact with them, and they're like, "Hey, boss, what's up?" They like that feel that it's a little bit more than just they're told they have people hired for them. They can start meeting the people, and the people get personalities, and I can apply all that. Right? Introduces the landlord, and yeah, it's an up and down thing. And the other thing is, some players sometimes like it, sometimes they don't. It's not always. I get it. When it's cool, it's cool. The experience is really good. But I've just noticed over the years because I'm game master, like where some players will return. They're they love that side of the game when they do it, but sometimes they might have especially if they're playing a wizard. Like a lot of guys that play wizards in my game hate taking on apprentices at higher levels. They just don't like it. Now, almost every guy that plays a thief wants to start a thief skill, though. And almost every guy that plays like a cleric type or you know what I mean, like religious type. And it depends on the kits too, what they're doing as individual characters, like how important is that stuff to them as a kit. Like a lot of guys who have played samurai type characters, they're actually not big on starting some big like army, right? Uh, yeah. So it depends on the goals of the character. Do they line up with a bigger picture scheme, right? Not every time. And so it's a mix of don't be simple in your thinking. I tell people, and not every time it's going to be appropriate for that stuff, but usually there's some things. But if you do it really well, it's never something that turns people off. I've seen people that are definitely playing characters where it's not suitable for that stuff. But they're like, they'll say things to me like, "I know you're really good at this part of the game, man. If I had a different character, I'd be into it right now." Like I know they would be, right? Uh, but yeah, a lot of wizard guys hate taking on apprentices. So that's one class. I guess a lot of guys will avoid. Um, they'll get their towers or something fixed up. They'll get like unseen servants. Like they'll produce a large, massive lab, maybe focus on like magic item creation. So they can get into different sides of the game too, right? Which is a lot of fun. A lot of fun. But kits in second edition, kits overall, just to sort of go back to that second, are some of the most valuable things in the world to take because they really do give you an idea of role play. Because you really are going to have certain rules with the kits. It's not rules, but it just tells you about what this type of person would do. So it's like when you get into the game, you don't have to guess what this type of character would do. You sort of have an idea, and then you can definitely build your uniqueness in to create a personality with it. But then it can also give you an idea of like, well, if you would do this, it's easy to start assuming goals. So it just breaks things down, makes it easier to figure out goals for your character and how you would role play them. And then it's a lot easier to develop the personality from that instead of just being flaky and trying to figure that out as you're going forward. That's why I like kits, because kits take what you would call your less creative players that still want to have a good experience and want to have creativity in their experience, and allows them. What I love about the kits is it allows them to get that creativity without it being lost. So they're not just playing a fighter and watching other people that are taking initiative have fun. Now that guy who might have played a generic character and was going, man, I wish my character was like his, with a kit, now that guy can have a character more like the guy who takes extreme initiative in the game. That's one of the things I think the kit saves the game. Kits is something that I think TSR just got right. And when they sort of flaked out on them going forward with the Lotsie stuff, I was sort of shocked. But it's the reason I stick to them. But there you go. I went over just about every kit. There's other kits like the halfling kits, the dwarf kits. I'll leave people to go check out the link. There's a link for the second edition books in the description here, and you can always go check out all the kits you want. Read every kit there is for 2E, right? But yeah, I love domain play. I love it personally. As a player, I play right into it. Like if you give me a wizard, I'll have apprentices. I'll still build a lab. I'll still build a fucking great tower. I'll get whatever defenses I need. Um, it doesn't matter what character I play. I'll always play to that if the door is open. And I think the DM can actually handle that part of the game. Sadly, Black Rose, a lot of guys out there, I've seen personally, in my opinion, handle this part of the game really poorly. Like really poorly. Now I know why. All right, I know why. It's because either they're not good at doing a lot of NPCs, or they simplify things, or there's a real lack of there's a limitation on what you can do. I hate limitations to a degree where I can take off limitations and options and thoughtfulness and leaving everything up to players that aren't that thoughtful to begin with. It's like, I want to start a Thieves Guild. How do I do that? Like, the steps aren't even known by the DM, where it's like, I know everything. I can get into the gritty, man. I can get into the gritty. I can get into the real gritty. See, I have a certain limit, so I don't just say yes to every kid. And setting kits, I don't go with. So it's flat book kits that's what you're working with. No, I think the hunter, yeah, the hunter is in there. There is a hunter kit, right? That you could definitely get in it. But module or setting kits would be a no. So when they exist, I'm just like, no. But I mean, there is samurai. There's enough variation in the splat books that are already offered. So I'm like, oh, we get enough. And then I let people pitch me their own ideas if they want to. It's just after about the first 50 choices, I'm like, dude, if you need another 20, I think we're running into issues here, dude. And this stuff is covered, like Hunter's already covered. So it's like, boom. And then you got to see what they're pitching. You got to see some kits do blow the game up, or blow aspects of the game up. That doesn't mean I can't challenge them, but it's like, dude, okay, all right, well, we got to go there. You want to go there. If you can do this, this will attract certain people to you. It's like, now I'm kicking ass, huh? For a moment. Now this guy's here to see you. What's he? Well, when they hear about guys like you, these are the guys that show up looking for people like you. Like some wizards have to be very careful in my game too. Like it's like you got to be very careful certain things. Like even as just plain Jane player, it's like, look, I'm a wizard with all this stuff in my tower. I'm like, have you guys ever heard of a mage hunter? The player would be like, what's that? Okay. So when you get higher levels too, high level gaming can be very interesting because now you get a reputation. Now people know about you. Now you got shit people might want, right? What do you have, and how well? Who knows what you have? And do you think it's just safe? Like you're just in a safe game where you just say, "I have this shit." Oh, you do? Okay. What if like if you're a really powerful wizard? What about the king in your area? It's when they like it's one thing to be a powerful wizard, but when you get a reputation and he decides that, and potentially you're a threat to him. What then? Who's coming to see you? So it's I always tell players be cautious with everything you do in the game, especially when you get to certain higher levels. Higher level gaming is way different because of reputation and what you can attract to you and what you're doing and where you're moving and what land are you moving on. And even if there's not certain rules, there might be sort of assumed assumptions about certain things, right? People sending me stuff on Discord in the middle of the stream. Ladies, ladies, Steven, I'm like, I'm in the middle of the stream. But yeah, I'm pretty open minded. Like Black Rose, if somebody came to me with a kit from a setting, I'm not saying I would say like, oh, absolutely no, let's just stop the wall. It's like, no, it's more like it's that type of thing. So, I hate to be so vague on that, but that's just how it is. But there you go, there you go. So I think I made my statements on kits for tonight. I'll do a more detailed kit take, but I knew we were getting ready to make characters, and I know the guys are still making characters over the weekend here, so I figured I'd just drill on about how I think kits would be very helpful to consider, um, and how I feel about them, so they know I'm completely open to this whole thing. And tonight was a good reminder to just drill on for the few players that are going to listen to this. Get your characters done by Sunday. I don't care if it's late Sunday. I don't give a shit about it being late Sunday. I'm completely open to that. But it's have it done before Monday, man. Don't be passing to me like at last minute. Don't try that shit. Like just drill on them. Drill on them. All right. But it's for a good reason because I know they want a game. And I'd like the game Monday too. That'd be fun. And I do get a game to cover tomorrow night. So let's see what's coming up. And some ladies on Discord can be patient with me. Patient ladies. I will be done soon. Okay, so tomorrow I'm going to be covering the game Teenagers from Outer Space. And then I have, I consider a big interview Sunday, which is a guy known as AJ Pickett, a well known YouTuber in the tabletop role playing game hobby, both in the new and old school. A lot of guys know his work because his work is fucking awesome. Does great content, and he has a game right now out now, a hero game, which is really good for convention play, really easy to learn game, but not just simple, but really easy to pick up and play type of thing. And I've been reading through it. I'm going to be done. I'd say I'd be done by tonight, but I don't want to talk about it. I'm going to save that for when I talk to him about it on Sunday, which is his hero game. But I'm doing sort of like a normal interview with the guy. So we're going to talk about some of like his background with the hobby and He's a bit of a story when it comes to tabletop role playing games, so there's a lot of juice to be had there. Then with AJ, we'll get into the topic of Palladium. Palladium books, just Palladium gaming, period. Which guy has a lot to say on Palladium. Again, he's a tabletop role playing game historian who has a special liking, of Palladium, and me and him both like the game Heroes Unlimited, so we definitely connected there, and he wants to talk about that, so we're going to. Then, of course, my main off script is every Tuesday, and that will be on the 21st. So Sunday the 19th, July 19th, will be me and AJ interview. And then on the 21st, of course, will be off script. That will be every Tuesday. The next members only game that I'm covering will be covered on the 22nd of July, Exalted. And then that Thursday, I'll be covering AD&D 2nd Edition Monsters. And yes, I'll be going into some monsters, not just the general book. It won't be the same take I had as the AD&D 1E Monster Manual. The final weekend of July, I'll be covering the games Conspiracy X on the 25th and Ars Magica on the 26th. The last stream of July that I have scheduled right now going forward is the Tomb of Horrors for old school D&D, which will be a lot of fun. Yeah. Interview with AJ will be awesome. The guy has a huge YouTube channel, right? Really big YouTube channel. He's well known. And I'm really flattered that he's liked coming here and hanging out and chatting with us and all this. And I don't blow smoke up my own ass over these things. Like, I'm just appreciate that me and him have been around for a while, so I know he knows of me, and I definitely know of him because he's quite popular, and he likes that I cover a variety of games, I would imagine. I would assume, and he likes talking to us. So, he was here quite a few times. I just said, "Hey, AJ, would you do an interview?" And he was like, "Yeah," but he's a cool guy like that. Right? It's not like I'm anybody special. He's just a cool guy. He's a cool guy. If he likes chatting with you like he does with us, I'm not surprised he said yes, because he's a cool guy. Humble, cool guy. Very humble, nice guy. Right? That's it. Just a great guy to talk to at games. And I'm very happy for my audience and for myself that we get to have him here Sunday. Right? It'd be a lot of fun. I guarantee that. It's like I can't mess up an interview with AJ Pickett. AJ has a lot of awesome things to say. The only thing I want to do is make sure I'm just getting the questions out there, which is stuff he's going to lean into. Like, my always aim is to make sure I'm not asking questions where the guy doesn't have much to say on the topic, or it's too general and it doesn't really get much out. I'm going to make sure, like I've done with every other interview, everybody's happy with my interviews, is to be asking questions where I know it's right up his alley for having a lot to say. And I want to hear a lot. So I want to make sure that works and have a lot of fun, right? That's going to be Sunday. So that's going to be good. I can't really mess that up because he's a great guy, right? So it'd be fun. Yeah. That's how it works. And definitely, I appreciate AJ coming around. And even after that interview, I hope to see him here for more of the games we're going to cover. We're going to cover other Palladium games, stuff like that. And he definitely likes certain things, nerdy things. And when I get to the point where I can't start the streams really early, I'll probably notice him showing up to a lot of other later streams because his time is different than mine. So it's like at 8 o'clock, it's like noon his time, right? But guys, it's been 2 hours. And honestly, I'm a little worn, right? So there you go. I hope you enjoyed the off script. I hope just had some fun chatting around. And as of course, Black Rose, chatty. Good. I hope you're here for tomorrow's game. But either way, regardless if you make it tomorrow night, be here Sunday. Right? We got a great interview coming up. It's going to be a lot of fun. Okay. There you go. Give me a second to say goodnight or something. And good night to the kids and the babies and the lady. You too, my dude. All right.